All right, welcome back to the How to Relate podcast. Andrea is back. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. We have a really fun topic to discuss.
We do. Yes.
So, you are hosting an event on November 21st, which is a
Mhm.
live event located
Mhm.
here in Raleigh.
Mhm.
So, tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, it's the North Carolina Sport and Performance Professionals Conference. And it's going to be from 9 o'clock to 4:30. I think we put the time on that. But really just an environment for people to come and trying to not make it like a, typical conference where it's sitting and just the lecture, really trying to make it more integrative where a lot of clinicians and professionals can really get something out of it. So it's kind of broken up with some lecture, but also really, integrating conversation, some small group work, a panel will be there. So just trying to have a variety of different things and, kind of integrate different parts of, what we do as professionals when we work with athletes and how together we can come as a community to really provide those services. That's the main part. And I know we can kind of talk a little bit more about the specifics as we go.
Yeah, I think the importance around community for
Mhm.
this is really coming to mind because
Mhm.
we've gotten so used to doing Zoom events, online
Mhm.
events, which
Mhm.
are great to connect to
Mhm.
people from across state and even country boundaries.
Yeah.
But I think that what we lose in doing that is the real life connection. Like I think about how many times, even if I'm online and I can just slip
Mhm.
off my camera so I can go make something to eat or do other
Mhm.
things while I'm in some of these forums, but
Yeah.
when you're in person, it just has such a different feel to it.
Mhm.
So I really think about honing in on the importance of community and bringing people together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a lot of why I created this. Because I feel like when I'm working with my, clients, and most of my clients are athletes or have been athletes before, it does take a team. It takes a nutritionist, it takes, a physical therapist. It may take, even more than that as far as whatever it is, that they're going through. But really trying to find this team that we can create for each client and being able to really work together to help them, I think is really, really valuable. And just this idea that, there's no one solution to a problem, right? It takes and requires a lot of balance for the mental side, the physical side, being able to really allow all of those to work together. And it's kind of hard to do that, as a professional without connecting with other people, to do that. I like to know, what's a physical therapist doing? I like to know what is a nutritionist
Mhm.
doing. I like to hear, how they're approaching whatever my client is going through, because that's helpful for me to kind of see, okay, what do I need to adjust, or what type of insight can be provided more from my end. So just having that extra, those extra viewpoints, having those resources can be really valuable. And I didn't go to school to be a PT. I didn't go to school to be a nutritionist. So I don't really know how to treat my client in that way. But I feel like it's so valuable, and I want them to be able to have those resources. And, there's a lot of times where I'm like, okay, what this person needs this, who can I connect them with? And I really want to be able to build more of my connections to provide them, because I just think that that's so valuable. And, really just trying to create that community because they really need it. I mean, it's really, really tough being athletes right now, especially student athletes. I mean, it's a very challenging thing. It's no longer just going out and playing a sport. It's way more than that. And when you involve mental health and integrate that into their performance, it's very different. So just trying to build this community so that we can help these clients because they need it. And it's really, really important to me that they have that because I just see how important it is and how much it is needed for sure.
So important. And I think there's a broadening definition for athlete too. Like
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
remember I was working with a friend who does Ironmans. And so when I think of
Mhm.
an athlete, I mean, she
Mhm.
is a true athlete. And
Mhm.
we were going on a run together and she said something to me like, well, yeah, as athletes. And it was something I've never identified with because growing up
Mhm.
as a dancer, I've never thought I'm an athlete. It was
Mhm.
it was something separate, right?
Yeah.
So, but then when she said that to me, I thought like, okay, yeah, anyone who's moving their body in a way, or anyone who's signing up for a race, or anyone
Mhm.
who's looking to compete, or just even better themselves can really benefit from this holistic information. Because, like you're
Mhm.
saying, we don't go to school to know all of these things,
Mhm.
but it's so helpful in
Mhm.
sessions to know and connect with other providers. Like even
Yeah.
with a client that I got to connect with the client's physical therapist to
Mhm.
understand what this client was going through in terms of their pain levels, in terms of what they
Mhm.
were working on, and in terms of
Yeah.
how I could also be supportive in that. And it was
Mhm.
so helpful. So
Mhm.
I think about the importance of having the information and creating
Mhm.
those relationships so that we know one, who we want to work with and building
Yeah.
that community.
Mhm.
And also having the open shared information to know that like we're all working towards quality care for our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, I think it's can be very simple to say, "Oh, well, I'm doing a sport, so, I can be identified as an athlete." But I think it is, like you're saying, a lot more than just that. It's somebody that has that mindset that wants to better themselves. And a lot of the clients I see, they, you know, may have been an athlete or may not have, but they have that mindset, a lot of the perfectionism, like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to train for a marathon or, I want to improve my health in any kind of way, right? They usually approach it in an all or nothing approach. They dive in deep. They're getting so much information from social media, whatever, so being able to directly send them, to a resource is so valuable because then it's like, okay, just take a little bit, from this person, work on building your, habits with the nutrition and what kind of food's going to be helpful and figure out how to move your body in the right way by seeing a physical therapist, just that valuable information, that one-on-one information rather than just, getting it from wherever they're getting it. But just really being able to look at it like that, it's not necessarily an athlete, right? But it's usually someone that is very much determined to better themselves. And I know, that's pretty much most of what our population does see or our professions do see. So those type of people.
Yeah. And if you listen to this podcast, I'm going to assume that's you too. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
yes. So, okay. Can you give us a bit of a rundown for what to expect for the conference?
Yes. So there's going to be, you get there, it's going to be kind of just a time to network and meet people, kind of right off the bat, mingle and be able to see who's there. And then I'm going to do a presentation. My specialty is OCD, so I'm gonna kind of intertwine that in, teach a specific tool that might be helpful for clinicians, but also a really good, the way that I'm gonna present that tool can also really be effective just for anybody. You may not be an actual therapist, but just to have that knowledge and awareness of what, how this tool can be used can be very valuable in that way. And then we have Tracy. She's going to be doing some presentation on nutrition and looking at kind of the stages of, as an athlete, what may be helpful in certain ages, the level of, what an athlete should be looking at based off of, where they're at age range wise. So I think that's going to be, really helpful. And then Mike is gonna be doing, a presentation on PRI and kind of the, more the breath work and teaching some of that. information too. So that's going to be very integrative. People are going to be, practicing some things, and, we're all going to be together, working on that. And then we're going to have a sports psychology panel. So that's with a couple of sport psychologists in the Raleigh area, um, and with Colin and Marina and myself. And we're going to look at some case consultations. So we're providing the opportunity for people to submit some case consultations, something that maybe they're stuck on, something that they're struggling with, a certain situation with a client that they, really having a hard time figuring out, how to approach the client, what type of treatment to be using. So, we're offering that up to people to be able to, really work on those. And that's gonna also be an opportunity where we split up in small groups, and everyone can kinda talk about a case, by themselves and bring it to the panel. There's just gonna be a lot of opportunity there to really learn about, a certain case or cases. There's just gonna be a lot of information and resources, I think, provided between the 3 of us that can really help a lot of, the people that are coming really figure out, okay, this could be something I could try, and kind of going from there.
Love this.
Yeah.
So we have a mental health tool. We
Mhm.
have an overview on nutrition, the importance of
Mhm.
nutrition, and what we need to be talking about with people about their
Mhm.
food and quality and everything else that goes into fueling for performance.
Mhm.
And then we have physical therapy. So,
Mhm.
Postural Restoration Institute
Mhm.
is the modality that Mike uses. I see Mike, so I
Mhm.
know all about this one. And so it's going
Mhm.
to be a lot of like experiential breath work and like how to incorporate that. I think as a tool, even for outside and in
Mhm.
sessions. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
and then it sounds like
absolutely.
the panel discussion is going to be an opener for anyone to start to
Mhm.
think about how we can apply all these tools together.
Yes, for sure. I think
Mhm.
it's gonna
Excellent.
be, yeah, I think it's going to be, you know, really an opportunity to grow somewhere. I think when you go into a conference, you're kind of like, not really sure. You may not get a tool out of it. You may be like, okay, I could try that, or maybe, whatever. But I think the connection is something you'll definitely are going to get. Just being able to connect with at least one person, share about what you do, exchange information, but spending time with that person or multiple people, throughout the day, I think gives you more of a clarity of, okay, yeah, like I feel like I vibe with this person. We have a pretty good idea of, similar views of how to treat a client. Like I think this would be a good referral resource, in that way. So you are going to get something out of it. No matter what, you will be leaving with something.
Yeah. Yeah, which is exciting. Anything that has surprised you in planning this? Because there's a lot of behind the scenes work that
Mhm.
goes into something like this. So,
Yeah.
anything that has surprised you, anything that has felt good, challenging, like what's
Mhm.
been your kind of overall experience in the planning process of the conference?
The planning has been um good. I mean, it's always not easy, right? It takes a lot of time. I've had a lot of your help, so I really appreciate that. It's been really great to work with you and figure out, how to go about this, because it's new. I've never done anything like this before. So, I've only been a participant at a conference. Just trying to see it in that way, but also how can I make it a little different and a little bit more, the way that I feel like it can be impactful. So I think the challenge more so has been explaining it, to people. I think people are kind of confused. They're like, okay, this is for sport and performance professionals. And they might be asking themselves, is that what I am? Like, do I fit in that category? Or maybe, oh, I want to. Sounds like a good population to work with. It sounds interesting. I've always wanted to get into that population. So I think people might kind of, you know, not know whether or not it's for them. I think, and what I tell people when I explain it more so is, if it interests you, you might as well, see what it's like, see what it's about. And again, you're going to get something from it. You're going to take away something from it. So, it might as well be something that is pretty valuable. And I think if you see it, wow, this looks interesting, this looks cool, do it. Because, have you worked with an athlete before? Maybe not, but it's still going to be, pretty valuable to your knowledge, to what you're going to give your clients. And I think that's extremely valuable to have as a professional.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think planning anything is, any sort of event, there's
Hmm.
a lot that goes into it, and
Hmm.
it can be the fun kind of challenge to take on. And
Hmm.
and it sounds like that you went into this very intentionally too. So when we had
Yeah.
talked about this in the planning process, you from the beginning wanted to make this a more interactive event.
Yeah.
That it wasn't just I don't just want people to be sitting there and listening to people talk. I want them to
Hmm.
feel like that they have practical takeaways when they leave
Hmm.
here. I want people to feel like that they're engaged in the process too. That
Hmm.
it's not just sitting and receiving, but it's actually practicing something.
Hmm.
So I think from the beginning it was I want to make this an interactive event,
Hmm.
which it is, I mean, to me as for someone who's participated in conferences, it's like, yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. Because I think
Hmm.
that that not only engages people, it does create that shared sense of community when you're doing something like this.
Hmm.
And yeah, so and then the other part too is that I think if we're expanding the definition of athletes, like for anyone who's experienced themselves or has worked with people who have experienced injuries or who do
Hmm.
like to run or like
Hmm.
to work out their emotions or
Yeah.
whatever it might be that they've experienced, whether that's in
Mhm.
clinical work or personal work. Because I think
Mhm.
about the
Mhm.
running community too,
Yeah.
and the no pun intended, the running joke is, "Oh,
Mhm.
every time I feel something, I'll just go for a run." I feel like that anyone who's in these shared spaces of whether that's like CrossFit, running,
Yeah.
any sort of high rocks, whatever sort of
Mhm.
movement space that you're in, I feel
Mhm.
like you can absolutely come and benefit from this too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, originally my idea was doing a sports psychology conference. And then
Mhm.
as I got dived more into it, I was like, well, I want everybody there. I want, again, the community, the team, the team that it takes for all of us to really help our clients. And that's something that I think would be way more beneficial than just doing, clinicians that specialize with athletes. I think it can be way more than just that. And that's what I want it to be. And I hope that this is something that goes on for many years. So this isn't my first one and done. I want it to be definitely something that, can continue to go on and grow and become, something that North Carolina can, the professionals of North Carolina can really, utilize and look forward to. Like, oh, I get to go to this conference. This conference is coming up. Like, that's exciting. Like, I want to be able to see, certain types of professionals that are there and, really be able to do that because, we are all very busy. We all have, our schedules and we have to, obviously see clients and do the work. Don't make a lot of time for ourselves to do these things. And I, really want to make it worth your while when you come to this conference because that I know how valuable everyone's time is. I know how, much of a chance you could be making on this and go, I'm not sure what this is about, but I'm gonna do it. And, I really want to make that be worthwhile for sure for everybody. And, so everyone can come back every year and it can be something that people look forward to and want to do because I think it can be, really, really helpful for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I love
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
Any final thoughts or things that you want people to know before we sign off?
I think it's just, if you're interested, just sign up.
Yeah.
Right? It's gonna be you will not be disappointed in you're gonna take something away from it. So, I think it's gonna have value somewhere for you, and, it's a great opportunity, again, to connect, share ideas, for us to really can build a community that is not really out there, right?
Mhm.
There's physical therapists usually are with their, physical therapists, nutritionists with nutritionists, therapists are with therapists. Like being able to integrate us all together, I think is, beyond what valuable to our clients, and being able to do that, I think is so important. And this is the opportunity to do that. So I really, encourage anybody that's listening to, just check it out, see what it's like, go to my website and just look at the information. It's going to be at a really, really great event, beautiful lake and the fall scenery, being able to do a walk at lunchtime or on breaks, it's going to be a really, really, really nice event, really good time. So I'm really looking forward to it. And thank you so much for your help with everything. I really appreciate your awesome, Brittany, and having me on the
Yeah.
podcast. I really appreciate it too. You're doing an awesome job. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. It's my pleasure. I'm so looking forward to it. So,
Mhm.
yeah, we will post the link to sign
Okay.
up in the show notes if anyone's
Okay.
interested.
Mhm.
And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to either me or Andrea. So
Yeah.
we'll be happy
Absolutely.
to help and assist in any way.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Of course. Thank you. And until next time, everyone, stay connected.